If I started a koi pond in 2025, I would do this. I would design the pond filter to fit the koi I have or am going to have, which means exactly what? I will cover the problems first and then offer solutions to it. Filter manufacturers go to great pains to tell you their filter will cope with the 1100 gallon pond. But what use is that to you? So you buy an 1100 gallon filter for your 750 grow-on pond, so it's got a spare capacity. So what could possibly go wrong? You intend to grow on 8 koi at 40 cm. Looking at the chart, they weigh about 1,000 grams. So at 3% body weight, that's 30 grams a day. 240 grams a day in total. So if we go back to our pond filter that is recommended for 1100 gallon pond by the manufacturer, and they should know what they're talking about, right? After all, they build them, and you have faith in the filter manufacturer and go ahead with their filter, which will cope with 1100 gallons, so it will easily cope with 750 gallons. You start up the pond, you introduce the koi, you start to feed, and the ammonia goes up through the roof. But instead of dropping, it keeps on increasing, and by now you have a nitrite reading which is also steadily rising. You then rush to Facebook and YouTube to find out the answer how to lower ammonia and nitrite. You do a huge water change to lower the readings and throw in a bucket load of chemicals and salt to reduce the toxic effect. You reduce your feeding to half, do more changes as the readings are still climbing steadily. You throw in more chemicals. The koi are now suffering with high ammonia and nitrite. The readings drop slightly after a huge water change, but quickly start to rise. Nothing works as the readings keep rising. The koi are steadily suffering with all the chemicals and the huge water changes and the high ammonia and nitrite. You stop feeding altogether, but the readings are still rising. Why? The problem is that you are treating the results of simply not having enough filter media to cope with all the waste the koi are producing each day. Until you wake up and address this root cause of the ammonia and nitrite, the pond water conditions will continue to deteriorate to the detriment of your koi health until they die. Unless you only want to feed your koi 30 grams a day, please don't buy a filter for an 1100 gallon pond with only 4.5 litres of media in it. Do the maths first. Count all your koi, use the chart, calculate the weight and times it by 3% body weight a day at 24C. This will give you the amount of feed that you need to feed. Using 25 litres of media to process 170 grams of food a day, you can then calculate the amount of media you need. So how would this 1100 gallon filter impact on your 750 grow-on? On a stocking level, just one 40 cm koi that the filter could cope with. I would never recommend growing one koi by itself, or you could of course buy 7 more filters. Please support the channel by subscribing. A like, a share, a comment all help the YouTube ratings. I would be looking at 50 litres of media to process the weight for 8 koi feeding at 240 grams a day. as 25 litres of Helix 13 processes 170 grams of waste a day. So you can see how vital the health of your koi is to how much media in your pond filter. It is a common mistake to assume that the pond filter, regardless of its size, will clear all the ammonia and nitrite in a pond. Rubbish! If there's not enough media in the pond filter to deal with all the waste produced by the koi in a day, then the water will get progressively more and more toxic for the koi, which will either lead to a bacterial issue or parasite invasion, as they will seize the opportunity to attack the sickly koi, eventually leading to the death of the koi. Please check the amount of media in your pond filter will cope with the amount of food you are feeding a day. 3% body weight at 24C is a good guide. If you have insufficient media, reduce feeding or increase the media, or both, but allow time for the new media to mature. In the meantime, use a prime water conditioner to make the water safer for the koi. It is the amount of media in the pond's life support system, what we call a pond filter, that keeps a pond healthy. Ignore this at your koi's peril. Too much media? Happy koi pond. Too little media? Toxic koi pond. 95% of the problems occur because of lack of media, so get this right and 95% will disappear. It is the number of koi and the size that governs how much food to feed, which in turn governs how much media you need in your pond to process the waste the koi produce.